Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm Anton, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Paper Mario fan games. I have found a bunch of cool Paper Mario fan games that take the elements and gameplay from different Paper Mario games and try to make really unique different types of games. So before we get started with the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see future videos on the channel, and let's get started. So the first game we have is called Paper Mario. Like, that's just it. That's the entire name. Like, what kind of naming is this? But we shouldn't worry too much. Oh, well, quality graphics, let's just say that. This game may not look great, but the gameplay is actually quite fun. The game is basically Paper Mario, but in a top-down view. In the beginning of the game, Mario is invited to Princess Peach's castle until the usual happens. But after you defeat Bowser, at the beginning of the game, you go home, and then Bowser just wakes up and grabs the princess. Which, I mean, doesn't look graphically that great, but he just lies down, not even high off the ground. Yeah, the story isn't too great, but we can tell that the game isn't too strong in the story department. Well, how is this game in the gameplay department instead? Well, surprisingly, it's quite fun. You spin to block and reverse the direction of projectiles. You can also use the hammer ability, which you get after doing a bunch of goals and other things that you do to progress the story. But the battles kind of become boring after a while, in just my opinion. The only thing that made me upset are the broken, glitchy mechanics. Like, the first battle took me a long time to beat, just because Bowser just kept flying in at random places. So this game is not the most polished one. But when it does work, the game is actually quite fun, and I like exploring around, and I really do like the graphics and how they look like the original Paper Mario style. But some things, like the houses on the ground, looks like they're just screenshots and some of the ground parts. Like, how hard is it to make basic textures? Well, it's hard. But you get the point. I did have fun playing this game, and although there are plenty of problems, the game does have a lot of charm and effort put into it. Which is why I rate this game a 6.5 out of 10. Because I can. Next up, we have Paper Mario World. This is a flash game that takes gameplay ideas from Super Paper Mario. Mario's physics are pretty good in this game. But you cannot configure the controls, so the game makes you use the up button to jump, which wasn't a problem, but I could see why people would want to configure those. And there wasn't even a settings menu either, just like a quality button. So yeah, but I could see why people would want to configure more settings in this game. Even though the graphics haven't aged that well, the game still delivers in terms of the places that you explore and the unique environments. You can even play the game in mirror mode too by entering the code mirror in the password system, because well, this game doesn't have saving abilities. Overall, a good experience, which I rate a 7 out of 10. But hold on, the game actually got a sequel called Paper Mario World 2. Essentially the same thing, but with better graphics, especially for the GUI, with the health bars. And there's also a couple of tweaks, and the way that Mario's face moves and his direction that he faces when he jumps, because there was some weird glitches happening. But the sequel is much larger in scope too. Which is why I rate Paper Mario World 2 a 7.2 out of 10, because it essentially is a level expansion with some minor changes. Next up, we have Paper Bowser World. This game takes inspiration from the Bowser levels found in Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, in which you play as Bowser, and you can even play as Kammy Koopa too, which has her own abilities. Mini levels are replicas of the classic Super Mario Bros. Levels. Even though the graphics are not really the best, the game is still really good. There is a little story too, which is pretty much like how you thought of it in Thousand Year Door. The levels have all the same style. Now, the graphics are pretty good. I mean, they don't look amazing. Especially some of the sprite work looks a little bit more like a Flash game, which this game pretty much does. But overall, it's pretty good. And if you want to play those Bowser levels again, this is probably the best way to do it without actually playing Thousand Year Door. Which is why I give this game a 7.5 out of 10, because of how cool it is and the gameplay is pretty cool. But we're not done here, because there's actually a sequel called Paper Bowser World 2, Project Grom, which means Get Revenge on Mario. After the great opening cutscene, we get into the gameplay, and the graphics and art style look a lot more professional, with the assets that look like they are pretty much from Super Paper Mario, and there's even some from Thousand Year Door 2. But there's a little pixelated touch that I think is really cool. There are new custom places to explore, and there's also a lot of humor too, to try to replicate what Bowser would say in these types of games. Sadly, Kami is removed, but Bowser does have a couple new abilities. Overall, this game is really cool. You can definitely see the progress from the last game to this one, so Paper Bowser World 2 gets an 8 out of 10. But we are not done here, because there's actually a third game called Paper Bowser World 3. So this is a full trilogy, which is pretty cool, and it continues on the story. It adds the past Mario levels into the game, which feel much more like the first game, because Paper Bowser World 2 had original levels. So that's pretty interesting. But the graphics look really good. I have to say that there's a less pixelated art style, which I really like. The sprite work has been really well done. Even the background, how it uses parallax scrolling, is a lot more advanced. And I also like how the game does look a bit like Sticker Star. And this game actually came out before Sticker Star. This game was released in 2011. But this game is really cool, and with the really polished gameplay, this game gets an 8.2 out of 10 just because of how neat it is. And I definitely recommend checking this game out if you like the last two, or just play all three of them in a row because they're really fun. So check them out, they will be in the description down below. Following the Paper Bowser World trilogy, we have Paper Mario Great Star Offense, which is a full-length game. This takes a more pixelated approach to the art style, and I really do like that. The gameplay is similar to the original Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64, but with 2D platforming segments like Super Paper Mario. Turn-based battles are in the game too, and they are really good for me, as I really do like my turn-based battles. Badges also make a return too, and also shops where you can buy items and badges from. The physics feel really good, and the game soundtrack is taken from Paper Mario on N64, but they're all remade tunes. Overall, great game, which is why this one gets an 8.3 out of 10 because of how polished and fun it is. Super Mario 3D Land is a great game on the 3DS, but if you replaced all the assets with Paper Mario ones, you'd get Paper Mario 3D Land. The gameplay essentially is like Super Mario 3D Land, but a lot of things are changed to fit in the Paper Mario style. For example, you have an HP bar and your paper, which is cool, I guess. The art style is probably the best thing about this game. It's so nice, especially since they're using that N64 Mario style. The game's polish is pretty good. I mean, sometimes the game might feel a little stiff. I mean, the camera isn't terrible, but the game might feel a little weird sometimes, and that's when I started playing it. I felt that it was a little bit strange, but once you get used to it, it's a pretty fun game. I really like the different places that you explore, and there's some really unique type of enemies, especially ones that are customly made and have never been seen in the Paper Mario series, or even the Mario series in general. Different levels take a different approach. For example, some might be a little more puzzle-based, while some might focus on platforming. And there's two really cool power-ups which really help with the gameplay, which is the Dandelion suit, which helps you glide and get on platforms a lot easier, and then there's the Mole suit, which helps for puzzle levels where you can go underneath in the ground and pop up in areas that you weren't able to access. So that is really cool. There's even boss battles in this game, which is really interesting, and there are really great music tracks from the Paper Mario series. Even though this game might not be a traditional type Paper Mario experience, I would prefer this than Sticker Star or Color Splash. So check this game out, as I rate it an 8.6 out of 10. And finally, we have epic Paper Mario, which is technically a demo, but I'm just gonna referring it into a full game just because it's quite large and takes over an hour to complete. This game is probably the most advanced Paper Mario fan game in that it attempts to be a real sequel to Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, and Super Paper Mario. But how does it be a sequel to both of the Paper Mario games? Well, the game actually has Super Paper Mario style levels, but turn-based battles that are pretty much like straight out of Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. However, there are enemies that you can defeat on the field without going into a battle, which I think is a pretty interesting change, as it makes the experience feel a lot less tedious. The graphics are really amazing, and I really like the customly designed characters and assets. Partners also make a return in this game, with one of them being Toad. However, as much as this game really does feel like a love letter to 1000 Year Door and Super Paper Mario, it isn't, I'd say, the most polished one. And I mean that in terms of the screen movement, it's just a little bit janky at times. I mean, it really doesn't affect the gameplay, but sometimes it is noticeable and could be a lot better. But the original music tracks in this game are awesome, with some of them capturing the Paper Mario feel. The battle theme felt a little lacking, but it's still great nonetheless. And with that, I rate the game a 9 out of 10 because this game is really the best Paper Mario fan game out there. Well, at least for now. But check it out. Wait, what? Oh yeah, this game has been taken down from the Nintendo Ninjas. But don't worry, as there is a copy down in the description, as long as you don't tell the ninjas. Anyways guys, that brings us to the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see future videos on the channel. And I will see you guys in the next one.